Quote of the week: I will love the light, for it shows me the way, yet I will endure the darkness because it shows me the stars. Hi, and welcome everybody. It's Jason Barlow, RMT. I'm here today as your therapist and as your coach to help you transform any stress, tension, and pain into health, happiness, and vitality. It was about a year ago when everything started to play out the way that we know this past year has played, and I had to close my business for 3 months. Now, at the time, I didn't know how long the closure was going to be, didn't know the foreseeable future, fortunately, but again, didn't know for the first couple of weeks where, financial aids, financial support was going to come. We had some money in place to be able to support us for a period of time, but I'll tell you what, having 4 young men in our house, well, 5 including me, I'm a young man still, in my eyes anyway, but we have a healthy household that likes to eat. And so that money that we had in place was only going to feed us for so long, given our healthy appetites and what we like to eat and how often we like to eat. Anyway, I'm going down a pathway that I don't need to right now. This is one of the beautiful quotes that I heard a year ago, though, during this time of darkness that certainly I was experiencing personally, professionally. My business was closed. Kids were homeschooling. I mean, there was a lot of light too. And thankfully, those are the stars, right? In respect of this quote that's being shared here. And it ties in beautifully with a basic teaching within Buddhism that there's 2 types of problems that we all have. And it's not her and him and them and they, or the government and this politician. I'm not going to open that box too wide, but I just want you to understand, just sit for a moment with this contemplation, this thought, that we only have 2 types of problems. And everything I just listed is one of them, but it's grouped together under what we call an outer problem. And an outer problem is something technically we have no control over. We have no control over these outer problems. We can influence them. We can solve them with tools and hands, but we can never truly control it. Ultimately, the real problem is coming from our response. I've talked about this on almost every quote I've shared with you the last number of months. Our response is what we can be responsible for, what we can take control of and learn to take control, more and more control of. And that inner problem is our unpleasant feelings. It's our unpleasant feelings towards them and they, the politicians, the government, the COVID situation, our work seemingly being pulled from underneath our feet. Those are all outer problems. They'll never end. We right now, we're all battling with whatever outer problems that are going on in your world, but we're all generally speaking to, the COVID situation. And if it's not COVID, it's going to be something else. There's constant outer problems coming up. So what we've got to do is learn, if we're serious about having more health, happiness, and vitality in our life, we've got to take some time to understand and distinguish between an outer problem and an inner problem. Once we get skilled at doing that, then we can take ownership of our real problem. And this is the magic. Because once we take hold of the real problem, our unpleasant feelings, and we actually start to solve the real problem, our unpleasant feelings, now we view our outer problems very differently. We're almost expecting them. Ben Bergeron says in his book, Chasing Excellence, the best way to leverage adversity is to expect it. So expect outer problems. It's part of life. Expect the darkness, but try to focus upon the stars within that darkness at that time. And how are we going to do that without having dark experiences in our life? We can only go through these trials and tribulations and then realize that, wow, okay, how I handled that? Yeah, maybe there's a different way of doing that. And if we have that reflection, that's the golden nugget to help us understand that the next time something comes up, and it might be something very different, might be something completely curveball you weren't even expecting. Hopefully, if you've taken some time, you will notice that you handle it in a slightly different manner. And so from a Buddhist point of view, there's a way that we can balance our mind and have what we call equanimity towards good and bad conditions. It doesn't matter. Things are going well, things are going badly. It doesn't matter. What matters is how we are responding on the inside. Our mind can still be peaceful, happy, light, and clear, because that's its nature. It's only being shrouded with these dark clouds of unpleasant feelings. And if we remove and learn to distinguish those unpleasant feelings and move them, like we have the capacity to actually move them within our mind, not moving the people out of our life. I'm talking about moving our mind. We can learn to do that, conquer our unpleasant feelings, and now those outer problems, we'll label them differently. We might even be happy that this is happening. Why? Because it's allowing us an opportunity to strengthen our mind, to have a different viewpoint. We can realize that we're going to learn so much from going through these experiences, new medications, new drugs, whatever it is that's going on. There's always something positive that can come from it. We just have to change our viewpoint and get a perspective. But sometimes that's hard when we're enshrouded and we're covered with all these unpleasant feelings, and that's all we feel like. It's so solid, fixed, and real, and it's not going to change, and it's concrete. It's forevermore going to stay like that. And that's complete, utter Cutswaller, as my dad used to say. Cutswaller. Nonsense. We're making up, we're fabricating what it is that we're experiencing. We're fabricating our very response to what it is that we're experiencing too. And so we can learn to navigate a new pathway. But just think of going into the mountains and there's no pathway. You see there's deep, thick forest of bush and trees, and you're trying to get to the peak, and you can see this is a straight road if I go up straight up here, and you're hacking away with the first one. But the next person that comes after you appreciates what you've done ahead of them. You've set an example. And this really is what I'm trying to share with you, is even if there's nobody in your life right now that's inspiring you to understand some of these messages I'm sharing with you, and I can share all sorts of resources that, you know, I'm not the guy that has come up with this. There's somebody that's gone ahead of me and many others that have gone ahead of them. What I'm sharing with you is something that I've learned from many other people. And it's the same, right? You're in a position now, you're learning a little bit from me, great. And if you find you apply it and you get results, great. If you apply it and you're like, nah, it doesn't really work, then great. Then you go and find the next thing. You've got to constantly be seeking what it is that's really going to help you conquer that unpleasant feeling, or unpleasant feelings. It can be a multitude of things. But ultimately, we have two problems: inner problem, outer problem. The inner problem, once we solve that, bam, we have light all the time, regardless of the darkness that's on the outside that's being experienced. We have this light shining within us, that we can be a living example of how it's possible to go and endure this darkness, but have a very different perspective and viewpoint, and show and illustrate the new pathway that's possible that others may choose to follow, because now it's a little bit easier having an example of somebody ahead of them. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found that a benefit. Beautiful quote by Mandino. I will love the light, for it shows me the way. Yeah, I will endure the darkness because it shows me the stars. Remember, your muscle health is my #1 priority. That's why I'm here doing what I do. I hope you found that a benefit. Please share this with others, either through the podcast or through Facebook, YouTube. But please, ultimately, if you're able to share a review of what it is that you're learning from me, anything that you'd like to share from a personal experience, any feedback, we welcome it. We appreciate your time and insight, and thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.